når vi kom inn. Og ingen kom tilbake. Jeg er veldig glad for å være her, jeg er så heldig å få ha en presentasjon i morgen tidlig. Og jeg skal ikke begynne på den nå, men jeg vil presentere en person som jeg møtte for 1,5 år siden. Vi som jobber med utdanning, og som er opptatt av utdanning, akkurat som dere ønsker jo å lage hverdagen enklere for lærerne og for elevene, men også foreldrene. Jeg jobber jo med It's Learning, vi har SkoleIntratræf, og vi har Frontal. Det er liksom de 3 systemene vi forvalter i It's Learning. Alle har litt forskjellige oppgaver. It's Learning og Frontal er mye det samme. SkoleIntratræf var vi så heldige å komme inn i for noen år siden, og da lovde vi Karsten og Bengt at vi skulle modernisere SkoleIntratræf. Og det har vi begynt på å gjøre. Og i morgen så skal vi også vise mer hva vi har planer å gjøre på den biten. Men en av de tingene som har vært min hjertesak i mange år, det er å få innhold til lærerne. Godt innhold linket opp mot læreplansmålene. Og så fant vi ut at det fantes veldig mye utrolig godt gratis innhold rundt omkring, som er veldig bra til å bruke undervisning. Og da var jeg så heldig å møte Prasad, som sitter der borte og skal holde foredrag. Og han har laget et fantastisk system som vi da har integrert inn i systemene våre, så vi har da begynt å bruke i det amerikanske markedet. Og det gjør at, og det som vi har testet ut i USA, det er at det innholdet som er da open source innhold, gratis innhold, det har en veldig mye høyere kvalitet enn det innholdet som lages av de amerikanske forleggerne. Jeg vet ingenting om de danske, men om de amerikanske forleggerne. Og han kommer da fra sin bakgrunn i Google. Han har vært med å lage google.maps, da han har vært head of det, og har tatt den teknologien og puttet den inn i en læringskontekst. Og derfor er det med stor glede å få lov å presentere Prasad her i dag. Velkommen, Prasad. And I and Prasad, we have really a big mission to do together. Isn't that correct?
That's absolutely right, yeah.
And he have, what I said, try to tell him that we have built something amazing that I love. And together we will try to also move all this good stuff that he has built now for the US market into the European market. And I think that was so good for you guys today to look and listen to Prasad, because he's thinking completely different from how you normally are thinking. He's completely different in his thinking compared to what the Minister of Education is thinking. And I was so lucky to have Prasad with me this year spring to Oslo and Bergen, and present what we have planned to do to Oslo kommune, also the municipality in Oslo and in Bergen. And they told me after, and I know these people really well because we've been working with them for 15 years, and they said to me after, and I need to take this in Norwegian because if I'm saying this, his self-confidence is just increasing over the limit. But I can take it in English. What he told me, Anna, if you can do what you showed me today, then you will change the education more than you have changed education for the last 100 years. And I said, why? Because this is a completely new way to think, and can you do this? It would be amazing. So this is your starting point, Prasad.
Yes, thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for welcoming me to Denmark. This is my first time to Denmark, so I'm a very keen visitor in terms of trying to understand how the entire country is set up as a whole collection of islands, and enjoyed the train ride yesterday. So I'm going to share with you the work that we have been doing. And we think of, like Arna mentioned, prior to starting Guru, I was an engineer at Google. So I'm not an educator. So I come with this mindset of, I have no baggage from education. I said, hey, let's start thinking about this newly. But let's kind of work with all educators and researchers so that we don't ignore all the work and all the great understanding they have about how education works. So I'll start with Google Maps. How many of you here use Google Maps or have used Google Maps? Thank you. So, so all of you know how Maps works. So let's kind of just think for a moment about how education would be if it were like Google Maps, right? And as the engineering lead on Google Maps, I clearly think like Google Maps. And I always thought about, I said, when I was at Google, everybody in Google talks about how we are going to change the world or how the world is changing because of the internet. And for me, the observation was, the world is changing, but nothing is different, right? So the world is changing for some of us. All of us have smartphones and self-driving cars and all of this good stuff. But for the vast majority of people, nothing is different. So the question for me was, how do we take the same technology, same machine learning, all the incredible capabilities of the mobile device and so forth, and actually put it to use for social justice. So that was my thinking while I was at Google. Then I said, so what is the social justice problem? How do we tackle social justice? And it came down to education. So, having built Google Maps, I kind of think about it as, so what is the difference between education and Google Maps, right? Education, in my observation of education, is completely focused on the destination. This is the curriculum, this is the standard, this is the assessment. When you get here, we'll test you and we'll grade you, right? Your Google Maps doesn't even turn on if it doesn't know your current location. But education has no problem with that. They say, I don't need to know your current location, but I'm going to teach you Algebra 1. Because I don't know what you know, whether you know pre-algebra or whether you know polynomials or ratios and proportion or fractions or two-digit addition, I don't know. But I'm going to teach you Algebra 1 because that's what this course is about, right? So this was a big difference between how I saw what the GPS-like thinking is. It's always about knowing where you are and the progress you're making. Now let's just look at some of the other capabilities that you are familiar with Google Maps. Yeah, what makes Google Maps work is the ability to zoom in, zoom out. Sometimes you want to see all the detailed roads and all the names. Sometimes you don't. You just want to see things at a high level, right? Tell me about the course. Tell me about the subject. Or no, tell me about this assignment that I have to do, kind of stuff, right? Google Maps is dynamic. Dynamic, this is the most important part of Google Maps. It's that blue arrow. It always tells you where you are. And it's moving in the right direction, right? That gives you confidence, saying, yep, I'm making progress. I'm on the right path. I'll get there. I'll get to my destination. It gives me confidence, right? So when we built Google Maps, one of my suggestions to my engineers was the idea of this product is not to do better driving directions. It is to eliminate the anxiety of travel. People should show up in any city, anywhere in the world, and should be able to choose any mode of transportation, whether it is highways or trains or bicycles or whatever, right? Or walking, whatever mode of transportation. And they should feel like, hey, now I have this GPS and it will work for me, right? Now we want to do that same thing for education. Third is the notion of layers. So when you kind of use Google Maps, you can kind of say, hey, show me all the coffee shops. Show me all the gas stations or petrol bunks, whatever you call them here, right? Show me where this office building is. Show me where this hotel is, kind of stuff. So these are all layers of information in Google Maps, right? So it's not always about the roads, it's about all the other things. Now in education, I want to know all the projects on this topic. I want to know all the assessments on this topic, right? I want to know traffic and accidents and toll booths, right? Which is the equivalent of who is studying this stuff. Who else is studying this stuff? Who else has studied this stuff? How many people quit this course after they started this course? Right? That's an accident. And I kind of want to know all of that data so that I can make my decisions here. It's the analytics. Everybody today kind of, when I have a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning, my meeting usually calls up and says, Ram, I'm going to be there at 9:04 because their maps tells them estimated time of arrival, 9:04, right? So now, why can't we tell that to our students? When are you going to be able to, if there's an estimate, it may not be 9:04, it may be 9:06 or 9:10 or whatever, right? The community, if you have used this product called Waze, which is also acquired by Google, it talks about who else is on the map, who else is on the road, what have they been saying, kind of stuff. And lastly, suggestions. This is the best part, right? It's always about rerouting. There is traffic. I don't know how the traffic is in Kolding or the rest of Denmark or Copenhagen. You may not have much of it or accidents, but in every other part of the world, there's massive issues. It's always about continuously rerouting because you have to dynamically in real time say, okay, the road you're on is not working for you, right? So here is an alternate suggestion for you, right? So now my question is, imagine if we could build a GPS for learning. It will have all the right attributes. It is always about where the learner is. The destination will get to. And here is the best part of it. Everybody gets to the destination every time. There's no option, right? If we think this way, then this is social justice. This is where every student will learn whatever they set out to learn every time. Somebody may take half an hour, somebody may take 4 hours, right? It doesn't matter. Everybody will get to their destination every time. So now that you understand something about maps and how that is, the rest of my conversation is about, so how do we go about building this, yeah? So let's kind of look at this graphic. On the left side, I've just exploded. So what is the one thing that makes Google Maps work? The one thing, whether it's your coffee shop or your traffic, accident, roads, people, is that every point on Earth has a latitude and longitude. So the moment you have a latitude and longitude, you pull up your cell phone, it knows where you are. If at that point there is a coffee shop, then the coffee shop has a latitude and longitude, right? If that point has an accident, then that accident has a latitude and longitude. So everything, regardless of what the object on the map is, has a latitude and longitude. So you are able to now relate everything. You can say, oh, here's a video. This video is about this, how to convert mixed fractions to improper fractions. Here's an assessment. This assessment is about how to convert mixed fractions to improper fractions, right? Here is a tutor. This tutor has taught other students how to convert mixed fractions to improper fractions, right? You have to relate everything down to latitude and longitude. So the first thing to do is, what is the latitude and longitude for learning? I looked around, I said, so show me, what is your lat long for learning? Who has defined this entire space and mapped it out? And this is, to do something like Google Maps is a very, very elaborate process. But once you do it, it's there, it's beautiful, right? And one of the big projects that my team at Google undertook was this project called Ground Truth, which was to map every part of the world, right? And at that time in 2006, we had only 15% of the world mapped out, which was largely America and Western Europe, right? 85% of the world did not have high quality maps. And we said, but it's painstaking work, but we do it once, right? So you get the latitude and longitude defined, every part, and I'll kind of talk about it more. And then you can look at all the learning activities. By learning activities, I mean whether it's a project, whether it's a video, whether it's a textbook, whether it is a course or an assessment, whatever it is, anything that you learn with. It could be group discussion, it could be discussion forums, anything you learn with is what we call as a learning activity. Similar to maths, whether it's Starbucks or accident, it doesn't matter. Anything that relates to your transportation, that's a resource for you, whether it's a hiking trail, bike path, subway trains, whatever, right? Then we kind of look at all the data. So we have every piece of data for every student, right? We have had this forever, except that it's not organized like you would organize Google Maps, right? The way you would organize it in the maps metaphor is to say every data has to be about something. It can't just be some data, right? It's about the student for sure, but it's for the student, what is it about? If I say you got 80%, I don't know which 20% you didn't get, right? Can you give me the data which says you didn't understand in chemistry, you understood that you were studying chemistry, you were studying pH value, and you didn't understand logarithms, right? If I don't know that, then just saying 80% means nothing. The next year, you sit in the class, the teacher is teaching you organic chemistry, and she has no idea what you know, what you don't. But it doesn't matter, because she's teaching you the destination. She doesn't have to pay attention to where you are. But if we know exactly where you are, then we'll see how you can navigate now and what the role of the teacher is.